Off cell phones, flash photography is prohibited. Please announce your name and media affiliation when asking questions and a limit of one follow-up. The student athletes in attendance for West Virginia are Daxter Miles Jr., Ahmad, and Jevon Carter. And we'll take questions for the student athletes.
Yeah, guys, Mitch Vengel from Charleston Gazette-Mail. Just wondering how the preparations have gone in your minds and you think the team's ready.
Daxter, if you can answer that question.
I think that we have to have a really good practice today and a good walkthrough tomorrow and just get each other's minds ready and prepared to play.
Todd Leonard from the San Diego Union Tribune. Jevon, for those of us who haven't covered you through the years, when did defense become such a focus for you? So many guys, want to come in and score all the time. When did it become an emphasis for you and important to you?
The day I stepped on campus. I knew we were going to press coming here. I knew Coach Huggins was a defensive coach, and when I stepped on campus, it was just defense first.
Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal. For any one of you guys, it's one thing to know you're going to press, and it's one thing for coaches to recruit saying we press a lot. When did you guys kind of get that moment, maybe after you arrived on campus, realizing that it's not just pressing, like there's a full commitment to the way you guys press?
When we started our 3-hour practices, we work on our press a lot. We work on defense a lot. There's not a big focus on offense. So when you practice for 3 hours and you feel like you haven't shot the ball all day, that's when you start to notice that we're going to play real hard on defense.
Any other questions for our student athletes?
A follow-up to that for any of you. 3-hour practices and you haven't really shot the ball all day. Is there a point, though, when you as players start to question, like, are we overdoing it a little bit? And at what point do you kind of let go of all of that and realize that that is the identity?
Issa will let you.
Defense is a big emphasis that we emphasize, and coming from our defense, that's how we get our offense. So turning people over and making them uncomfortable and getting easy baskets on the other end.
Any other questions for our student athletes? Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Good luck.
Good.
You were out there last week, right? In Mountain West? Yes. Yep. Oh, thank you. They run that well. Chandler, by the way. Jeff. Nice to meet you. With Albuquerque. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I just seen you right now. Like, S with S, right?
Yeah, Sam.
Sam. Yeah. Yeah, no, this is Mountain West, but
He will. In San Diego State, South State.
San Diego State. Yeah, I just got asked to return from Mountainers, so I told him.
That's cool. Keep playing, man. San Diego.
Yeah, I'll be in LA next week. The regional.
Sweet. So are you?
For those media here, just know that Coach Huggins doesn't do an opening statement, so it's going to go right to questions.
Yeah, you're shooting for the West Virginia paper and
anything in Vegas or like any of the Mountain West stuff?
Definitely, yeah, I'll let you know. Yeah, Vegas, I think I'm gonna probably continue to intern with the Mountain West. I thought it was a pretty good tournament that they put on.
Yeah, they did a good job. It's pretty big time.
Yeah,
Like the setup was.
it's really nice. I'm curious about the NCAA. I've never even been to an NCAA.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah. It's pretty cool. This is my sixth tournament, and yeah, it's interesting to like see all this behind the scenes stuff. Like that's what's really interesting. Just see how much work is going on behind the scenes just to keep it running. But then like the games themselves can get pretty exciting.
So do you have your own company for you?
Yeah. Yeah, I have my own company, and then I also do some freelance work for Getty in Las Vegas. So I shot a bunch of the men's basketball games, 3 or 4 football games. So then they have me do other like entertainment stuff. They have me doing something at the Academy of Country Music Awards next month. I'll probably do something with Billboard Music Awards the month after that. It's fun.
Does business for you?
Yeah, it pays okay.
Yeah.
It's like anything else in media. It's not great. I actually make more money like doing freelance stuff for like what I really like to try to do is like get schools to because they pay better than they don't pay great, but they pay better than normal media. The newspapers don't pay. Yeah. So I usually try and get like one of the schools to hire me to shoot a game or like we're at a tournament or something to shoot multiple games. It's a lot of work. It's just, you get a call, you're constantly calling people, emailing people. I'm always shocked, like, how many, like, sports information director, media relations people don't email me back. It's like, that's like your job, right? Like, if you say no, you say no, but at least contact me back. They give you a different opinion that says it first. Yeah.
I don't know if it says first and second round in particular. I'm not sure, but I know. I think if I go to the final four, I think they give you like a whole
Next. Yeah.
whole like package full of stuff.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, well, hopefully you get to go to the Final Four.
Man, I'm hoping for that and for the NBA certainly.
Yeah.
If I don't get Final Four, I wouldn't be upset because it was kind of last minute, but I had somebody connect me with the director.
Yeah.
So I may be good to go. At least if I lose something.
Yeah.
Because somebody.
Who did you talk to about someone?
We will get going with Coach Huggins very shortly.
I forgot his name. I don't know why I forgot his name. He was kind of tall. Really nice guy though. There were so many people that I talked to.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, I don't remember who was who. But it was, but underclassmen from the tournament, and I thought that was kind of funny. But a lot of people, not a lot, but a couple people have mentioned that, like, hey, weren't you at the Mountaineers tournament?
Reminder once again, turn off cell phones. Flash photography is prohibited. Please announce your name and media affiliation when asking questions.
And that's really Bob Huggins. That's crazy. It's good. Really big dude.
All right, we are ready for questions for West Virginia head coach Bob Huggins.
Brent Scrotenbor, USA Today. Coach, you're a 5th seed in the East region, but you've had to come all the way out to the West Coast, and if you win, you'll have to go back to Boston. How do you feel about that, and what's the toughest part of that?
Well, I think if anybody's equipped to do it, we can do it after what we do in our league. We fly across the country constantly in our league, so our guys are pretty used to it.
Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal. Bob, I'm here covering New Mexico State, but I also cover the New Mexico Lobos, which is a team that tried to press this year and rebrand itself as a pressing team. Even talked to Kevin Mackey, like I think you have talked to in the past when you made the full shift. That culture change, that first year, there's some hiccups maybe and maybe some growing pains. A first-year coach, would you give him any advice on the growing pains of making a commitment to pressing the way you do?
Well, I fully believe coaches got to coach their personality, and that was Kevin's personality. I coached against Kevin. I've known Kevin forever, and Kevin started doing it in high school, and you have to. It's like anything else. You have to have trust in it. If you don't trust it, it's not going to be any good, and you have to trust it. And you're going to give up some layups sometimes. You're going to give up some easy shots. Sometimes it's just not going to work. But I think over the long haul, it's been good for us because it's different. You don't see it all the time. It's like a guy said to me, what makes it so effective? I said, well, if you walked out of your hotel room and some guy got about 6 inches from your face and followed you everywhere you went, wouldn't that bother you? He said, yeah. I said, well, that's what we try to do for 40 minutes is do that.
A follow-up to that, you recruit to this now, and you tell kids when they're coming on campus, this is what they're going to be doing. But there's probably, I'm guessing here, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's probably still a moment once they get on campus and are starting to practice when they realize that this is a lot more than they realize, this commitment. And I know Carter mentioned earlier, there's 3-hour practices sometimes where they realize they didn't really shoot the ball much at all. Do you see that moment with your players still and see that kind of realization that this is even more than they thought?
Well, first of all, I didn't do a very good job recruiting to this system. This year compared, I think, to the previous 2 years, we don't have near the foot speed that we had before. And when you're talking about covering the amount of area that our guys cover, foot speed's important. Everybody wants to play. Everybody says they want to play fast. If you go in any kid's home, they want to know how much do you run. And then as soon as you get them on campus, they don't want to run. They want the results at the other end, but they really don't want to run. So I think it's a learning and growing process. JC's been terrific. I mean, it made JC the National Player of the Year. It's got him a heck of a lot of accolades that, you know, if we played 58 to 53, he certainly wouldn't get.
Bob, Mitch Vingle, Charleston Gazette-Mail. Just wondering, you've talked about the run-up to a couple of years ago and how you were disappointed in that. How's the practice sessions and everything been to this game?
Well, obviously better than they were then. They could have been better, Mitch. They probably could have been worse. I mean, it's a long year, you know. It's a long year. It's a long year of playing against the same people every day. It's a long year of basically doing the same thing every day. But I thought we were okay yesterday. Yesterday I thought we were pretty good. Most of us. Everybody wasn't, but most of them were.
Bob, Todd Leonard from the Union Tribune here in San Diego. With Carter, was he any kind of a defensive player before he got to you guys? And I know he wasn't highly recruited. What did you guys see in him that others maybe didn't?
Well, I was in Orlando at Disney. Got me a big cup of coffee, went in to watch the 8 a.m. game over in the new place, which is not the old place. It's and he was in the furthest court away that you could be on. And I went over there, and I'm trying to drink my coffee and wake up, and this guy's pressing at 8 o'clock in the morning. But no one else on his team is pressing, just him. So he's picking up the ball and pressuring people from end line to end line. And I called my assistants. I said, we got to sign this guy. And they're like, what does he do well? I said, hell, I don't know what he does well, but he sure tries to guard. And, he's gotten better and better and better because he works so hard. And he really does work. I mean, people say, hey, this guy works hard, and that means the guy gets in the gym 15 minutes or 20 minutes before practice. This guy's in there an hour and a half every single day on top of going to practice. And he's made himself a great player.
Any other questions for Coach Huggins? All right, thank you.
Thank you all.
Good luck.